Welcome to the Wunderkammer, the place where you will find all the needed objects in order to discover yourself. But be careful, this cabinet of curiosities will uncover things you never wanted to see unveiled. This room will open the abyss of darkness for you. You will see how this darkness will lead you to the light you were searching for all this time. Wunderkammer is excited to be your guide to that light. Hello there. Let's talk about some future, shall we? The future is the outcome of the present. It's like a machine that is being operated from the strings of our actions, feelings, and thoughts that we have in this moment. With this explained, it's impossible for something out of the blue to happen in the future. Everything that happens along the way only happens because there was an intention connected to that happening in the present moment. Example: Simon wants to start a business and become a millionaire. He was ambitious about that goal since he was a little kid, but because he is convinced by the societal beliefs that he needs to finish high school, college, and he needs to get his bachelor's and master's degree before he can realize his dream, he focuses on finishing his education. He leaves that plan about starting a business at some defining moment in the future. Then, after Simon gets his master's degree, he sees this moment as a defining moment where everything is supposed to go smoothly and get his business going. But he realizes that this business needs time, effort, investments, and a lot of genuine connections. With this realization and the fact that he waited all of these years, Simon is disappointed. He sees this as a failed dream, where in reality this isn't the case, and sees this as a punishment by an external force. We all do that. Simon gives up his dream, not knowing that nothing wrong happened. The only problem was that he left the dream at some point in the future. The problem in this situation isn't that Simon waited or that he wanted to become a millionaire with this business. This problem isn't about money. The problem is that he didn't take any action at the present moment, but instead he relied on that imaginary point in the future. He left that taking action part at some point in the future, believing that some external force will make it happen for him. We all do that, don't we? But the future as a fixed concept does not exist. The future can be explained as an accumulated energy. The future is an accumulated thought, feeling, experience, and action. If Simon started taking action and started constructing his business plan, along with gathering experience surrounding what he wants to start a business about, Simon would have successfully started his business. If Simon erased the concept of future and cared about the now, he would have let himself start realizing his dream and therefore make his business come true. We still mix fate with the term future. There is no such thing as fate. Fate was a coping strategy with which we as humanity in the past used in order to put up with our suffering, and we still do that all the time. With giving the meaning of fate, we choose to comply with the suffering instead of taking responsibility for it. With giving the meaning of fate, we chose to comply with the suffering instead of taking responsibility for it and making a different choice about that suffering. Example: Janet works as a hairdresser, but she doesn't like her job. Because she's too afraid to admit that to herself, she says, well, this is fate. I was supposed to experience this and work this job. Maybe there's hidden meaning in this. She thinks that until the owner of the hairstyling studio fires her. From the owner's perspective, she sees that Janet doesn't put her heart into what she is doing. She can clearly see that Janet doesn't like this job, and so she doesn't see any spark into everything Janet is doing. But from Janet's perspective, she sees this as a punishment from God or the universe. She sees this as fate. Do you see where I'm going with this? I hope that you do. When we see everything as fate or punishment, it prevents us from seeing what we truly want and need. The future is never fixed. We must change the way of thinking about it. What I do, for example, is erase future from my plans. Instead of asking myself what I want to do in the future, all I care about is the question, what do I want to do now? What am I concerned with now? What do I want to start now? The problem is that we do everything for the sake of our future, but we get so disappointed when that future doesn't come as we imagined. We imagine that the future will unfold in a certain way and stick to that, and that's exactly the reason why we end up so disappointed. For the fourth time, we do this all the time. It's true that it's important to have a certain vision about the future, but there is a difference between having a certain idea about the future and relying on it. And what we do is rely on it. Stop planning the future, because with planning, you give away your power on the idea that everything is going to unfold the way you want at a certain point that originally doesn't exist in the universe, or nature, or God, whatever you believe in. It does exist, but only as an idea. The construction of the energy that the idea has is not strong enough in order to manifest. We leave that idea on some external force while hoping that it will make it happen for us. We, as a source energy, came to create ourselves. Because on a universal level, we are the source itself, logically, what we're doing when we leave something unfold in the universe, we just let it die. It doesn't have a vibration strong enough to unfold, and we need to give it that vibration in order to realize itself, because we are its creators. To explain this difficult concept better, I'll give you an example. Imagine that you are in the universe. Imagine the stars surrounding you, you're seeing all of the blues, reds, and violets glowing. In other words, you're literally in the universe. And imagine you had the power to create anything you imagine, right? If you don't believe that, it's completely okay. You don't have to. I'm just using this allegory for this example. And now, imagine that everything you think of pops up in front of you. In this situation, imagine a rubber ball. So, when you imagine that rubber ball, it pops up in front of you. Now, see it pop up in front of you, and now leave the ball there and come back into the reality where you are into right now. You're seeing the screen where you're watching this very video, sitting on a couch or lying in bed, whatever. And you continue with your day, but you forget that rubber ball that you left up there in the universe, and that's because it died. The energy of the rubber ball that you left up there didn't last very long because it was just a thought that lasted a couple of seconds. This is exactly what happens when we leave something at an imaginary point in the future. Metaphysically speaking, we live in a reality where intention is not the only thing that exists in order to create something, and this is something that people do not want to hear, unfortunately. Action, thought, and emotion are a crucial part that play a big role in order to create something. In order for that rubber ball to have a solid enough vibration in order to exist in the universe where you created it, you could have went to a rubber ball factory and produced the ball that you imagined, or a rubber factory. What I mean about this is you could have taken action about that imagined ball. In this situation, that rubber ball is like a plant. We either help it grow or it dies. With this in mind, make yourself a vision and start acting on it now. Start planning less and instead do more. Make yourself a to-do list with only 1 or 2 goals, and after you complete them, the next day see where they will take you. See where inspired action will take you. Let inspired action move into your life. Don't suppress it with planning. Planning can take away joy from life, because with planning we go to the extreme where we expect everything to go perfectly.
Did you like the visit in the Wunderkammer? If you did, please like, subscribe, and share this content if you see it as helpful. Did you also notice the artworks in this video? They're not put accidentally. If you want to understand my philosophical reasons of why I put them in the video, you can become a crow on Patreon. In that tier, I'm posting the paintings and the contacts they have in the video. You can also see them like Easter eggs. But only crows can see through the messages, because they are messengers themselves. I would like you to support me on Patreon, because I need financial aid for conducting research and research projects with various institutions as well. I also have playlists on Spotify under my name, Katerina Lunas, if you need something to trigger and enhance your emotional experience. I also created a Facebook page where we can all gather together and share everything that comes to heart. Can you hear the footsteps? They're the footsteps of illusion. It's coming. But what are you going to do about it? Accept it or do something about it?